Your thoughts on the cartoon aspect of wrestling in the 80s compared to now, where it's, back then it was all characters and stuff like that.
Right. I liked it when we did the first WrestleMania in '84 when Cyndi came in, and I called her a little broad, and then she said, "Okay, fat man, I'll have my girl wrestler." She picked out Wendy Richter, a young, good-looking girl, and I had Moolah, who I'm not knocking, but Moolah's like at least as old as me, if not older. And she said, if you get beat, you apologize to all women, so which we did. I got beat. And then because what we call in wrestling a baby face, I started switching, and I started handling the good guys. And it was a little easier to get my tires punched, and my area broke off the car. And so,
What were some of the things that happened to you as a bad guy with the fans?
Well, Madison Square Garden, when Bruno was over there with Koloff, I mean, I was, involved in the finish, and when Bruno got beat, I tried to get out of the garden, and a riot broke out. They were outside, and it was raining, and they were taking mud out of those flower pots where they got the little trees in, throwing mud. I dove into the cab. The cab driver couldn't move. He was blocked in traffic. They started punching the windows of the cab. I went into the bar. They broke the window of the bar. Eddie Campbell tried to help me. They hit him and cracked his jaw. I forgot what it cost Vince, 30 or 40 grand, Vince Sr. Vince said, please, he said, stay away from our Koloff. You better become a babyface.
That's great. What are your memories of the old TNT shows that you used to do?
Oh, TNT with the cooking and when I had the Tabasco sauce and I had Roddy Piper. While they weren't looking, I put a shot at a bunch of Tabasco with it, and they were eating that there, going nuts. Then I come out as pumpkin.
Right.
If you saw me with the pumpkin, I had the pants on, and I come out of the famous Lou Albano, the famous pumpkin carver.
What are your memories of the wedding?
The wedding was funny. Yeah, we had who was there from Canada? One of the Vachons.
Right.
And what do you call it? It was funny. I mean, all the stuff they did, it was just riot.
Can you talk more about the? I guess it was Ray Stevens and the big angle you did on Buddy Rogers' corner with Jimmy Snuka, where eventually Jimmy Snuka split from you and out.
Yeah, Ray Stevens. I'll tell you, when you talk about Ray was a very competent athlete. Was very good. Okay, and California, he did very well here. Jimmy Snuka and I would go on, and then I started saying how I made Jimmy Snuka, how I took him. He had the brain of a dehydrated BB, put in a pigeon or parakeet, fly backwards. I said, Jimmy Snuka's a wonderful guy. I said, but I said, let's face it, he's from the islands. But, I said, the guy makes, I give him $200-300 a week. I said, spending money. And McMahon said, well, yeah, but the guy makes $400,000-500,000 a year. I said, well, I invest the rest of his money. Right? He said, what happened to it? I said, total loss. And I started laughing. And it went back and forth, and then I hit him with a coconut on TV, and we had the
that was Piper, actually.
It was Piper, it was Piper, okay.
But you guys did the angle, I guess you took him to the ringside, and Ray Stevens pile drove him on the concrete
floor. Drived him, we had it set up, he pile drove him, and after that, and then they had Jimmy and I going around, and I was never a good wrestler. I'd go in and beat the hell out of him with a gimmick. As soon as he put his hand up, the gimmick would go down, he'd catch me, he'd hit me a few shots, and I'd run to the dressing room. And they'd all scream, stay and fight, you fat so-and-so and all. I said, Vince, once you pin me in the middle of there, the heat's all over. I wrestled Jimmy, I don't know how many times, and I'd always run to the dressing room. And the people, I want to see you get killed.
I remember the first time I ever went to a wrestling show was in '83, I believe, at the Spectrum. It was you and Ray Stevens versus Jimmy Snuka and Buddy Rogers.
Yeah, Buddy Rogers.
It was the first show I ever went to.
Yeah.
How were the boys, I guess, to work with back in the day when you got into the ring?
They were, well, I'll tell you one thing. I was working one time with Antonio Rocca. And I'm down there, and his manager was a guy named Kola Kwariani, a big Russian. He said, my boy, come here. He said, you're working tonight with Antonio Rocca. He said, Rocca is a champion. He will drop kick you 4,467 times. He'll body slam. He's going on for about a half hour. And I'm standing there. I'm a young kid. I don't know what's going on, And first of all, I told all my friends, Channel 5, I'm going to be on TV. Oh, you're going to have it made. They said, you're going to make $2,000-3,000. Every minute that you're on, you get paid so much. I'm looking for a good payday. So I get down there, and Kola calls me in. I'm working with Rock. I don't care what they're going to do, who's going to win, who's going to lose. And he's telling me what he wants. Rocca's going to do this. Rocca's going to do that. I said, when do I come back? Come back. You come back to the dressing room, you moron. Nobody come with Rocca. You don't come back. Little did I know he was right. Rocca went in there, boom, 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 over. Now I go to get paid. So I drove down with Arnie Skolin. Arnie would charge $10 trans for the car.
Right. We
get a 6-pack of beer on the way down. So, you had $15 was gone. I mean, the beer was maybe $2-3 in them days, plus the thing. I get down there, and there was a little Arab guy by the name of Phil Zacco. He used to pay off.
Right.
Come here, kid. So I'm looking for, I figure I should get 1,000, so, but they wouldn't probably shaft me a little bit because I'm a new guy. I'd probably get 500-600, so puts down 2 10s and a 5. So I'm laughing. Come on, stop the gimmick. What? "You punk, you! Get the hell out of here!" Who the hell knew you went to Washington for $25 in them days? That was the payoff on TV. The only way the guys made money in them days, the older with house matches, like Bruno would wrestle something, and then they made thousands of dollars, on top. But the TV was just like to get you over, and that was it. And if you did jobs on TV like that, that was it.
Right.
But I'm looking over here, $25. I come home and I think $9. I said, "What am I going to be kidding?" They didn't use me for about 6 months after that, so I was complaining. What's his name? The little Arab guy, Phil Zacco, ran over to Vince and said, "This dirty guinea son of a gun." He says, "All he is complaining and bitching."
That's great. Who did you travel with back in the day? Who were some of the guys you
Arnie Skolin, a lot with Arnie, Tony Altamore and myself. And later on, the Valiants I would go with Jimmy and Johnny and, Offer. A lot of time when I handled the tag team, I'd go with my tag teams. But Arnie and I traveled together for years and years and years. And before that, Soldier Barry.
Right. Did you ever see Vince Sr. use his family to promote tickets or anything like that back in the
No.
day?
Vince's family is very separate. Vince had a son down in the Carolinas. Okay, and Vince was, I believe, was divorced and remarried to his wife. And we would go to Jimmy Wesson's in New York. And after all the garden shows, he'd take us all to dinner. Right. And we'd all get over there. And Vince was a very, very terrific guy.
We did an interview with Don Morocco, and he was telling us that every TV they'd spike the drink with vodka and stuff like that, and they'd fire you and then bring you back a week later or something like that. I
got to tell you, in those days I wouldn't drive, I wasn't driving, and I was hitting it pretty good with the thing, but I was drinking scotch at the time, and Vince would come by me and, "Will you please stop?" He said, "Drinking out there." He said, "You're fired." He fired me 13 times and then hired me back. Right? So now I found out that if you drink vodka, you couldn't smell it like the scotch. So I'd still be feeling pretty good. Right? And he'd come by, "You're all right, lad. Keep up the good work." Meantime, I whacked a half a bottle of vodka down.
What are your memories of some of the promos that you did with Don Morocco and this Fuji inside of Big John Studd, as far as when it was the empty arena and you were by the apron?
Well, first of all, Big John was a great guy, okay? I'm sorry he's passed away from what I hear. He had that disease. In the end, he didn't even want to come around because he was a big, huge guy. He used to come up to the Yonkers racetrack, and I got a friend of mine up there that handles horses at the track and stuff like that, and he knew John well. And I guess as he started losing a lot of weight and stuff like that, he felt embarrassed and wouldn't even come around. But Don Morocco and all, they were great guys that I had. I mean, him, George Steele and all, we had a lot of fun together.
What are your memories of Jimmy Snuka, that is, outside the ring? What was he like outside the ring?
Well, besides having the brain of a dehydrated BB, no, Jimmy is a very good athlete, okay? Fiji, Samoa, Fiji, from the islands. And he had something different when he was the first one to really get up on that top rope. Now you got Mankind like Nick Foley, who's all crippled up now, but he did stuff like that and weighed 300-something pounds. But Jimmy Snuka was a well-conditioned athlete and would do that big splash off the corner and all. In fact, he did it to me once. And I'll tell you the truth, I was urinating blood for 3 days. So the next time he wanted to try it on me, I said, "No, Jim, it's all right." I said, "I got a bad back. I'm looking for excuses."
Was there any behind-the-scenes tension between you and Roddy Piper for the top heel spot at the time, or?
No, Roddy was more like a commentator and we both did it, and we did that thing where I came out with Cyndi, and I called her a little broad and this and that, and Roddy was siding with me then, and then later on he switched, and that was Roddy does a great job. He's doing all types of movies now, and he's a very articulate, good speaker, so you got to give him credit.
What was he like outside the ring?
I was always friendly with Roddy, We'd wear the kilt. I'd tease him sometimes when he wear a skirt. Can't you put a pants on like a man, but he was a very good athlete. He's a good wrestler, very good talker. He's an articulate guy, and we got along very well.
What are your memories of the MSG angle with Dick Clark where Roddy hit you over the head with the plaque?
Yeah. We came out there. That was the first WrestleMania.
Right, it was right.
When we walked in the ring, we had Liberace as a timekeeper. You had God rest his soul, Billy Martin. You had Gordie Howe, a hockey player, was there. Muhammad Ali was referee. Walked out and they're presenting me, and I said, "Cyndi Lauper, I'm the one that made you with you." And he said, hold it. He said, "Wasn't it I? But this and that." He said, "But you know something, Captain? I want to present you." And whang, he whacked me. Hit me a pretty good shot too. I had a lump on my head. And when I did the thing with Cyndi on TV, when I called her a little broad, okay, she hit me with the pocketbook. But who the hell knew she had a bottle of perfume in there? Oh. I had a big gash in my head, a big lump on my head. I said, "What the hell, are you nuts?" I didn't realize I had something. I thought it was empty.
What are your memories of the video for Goonies?
The Goonies?
Yeah, you were in that video.
Yeah, Spielberg. In fact, I got a friend of mine now that's working on. Do you remember Bill Molino?
No.
His son, it was a guy with Johnny Rods and them in those days. His Bill Molino was a wrestler. His son now is working as a writer. He writes soaps and he writes this. In fact, he helped write this movie called Big Time. And you're asking me what
your memories of the music video was.
Of the music was. Well, we went out there and we did it. I forgot what we got paid for, but it was fun. You know, working for Spielberg and doing a thing with the Goonies. And and then the guy that did that was Richard Donner. And Richard Donner comes from Mount Vernon, where I came from, Mount Vernon, New York, before I moved to Carmel. And he went to school with my brother-in-law and all. He did Mad Max with Mel Gibson and all those pictures.
You're also in the Cyndi Lauper Girls Just Want to Have Fun video.
Girls Want to Have Fun video. I did She Bop with it time after time. And then the first movie I did with Harvey Keitel, Danny DeVito, and Joe Piscopo was Wise Guys, which they play 3-4 times a month. So, I mean, that was come out in 1986, but it's a funny movie. And then Body Slam played the other night, was on. Wise Guys, we said Body Slam, Complex World, Prisoners of Rock and Roll. Stay Tuned, I did with John Ritter from Three's a Company, Pam Darber, where they were zapped into the TV.
Right.
You saw that?
I remember that.
That there. And then we got the Mario that Andy Hayward did. Andy Hayward did Alf, Inspector Gadget, Dennis the Menace. And we had a live cartoon show. I would do the voice of the cartoon. And then it was me shaved and the bartender from the Jeffersons, Danny Wells. He played Luigi. And we'd have like a 5-minute segment of a live thing with people like David Horowitz, Cyndi Lauper, different celebrities. And then we'd go into the cartoon part.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.